The main challenges for public housing policies, I think there are many. So I can talk for hours, but I'm trying to concentrate perhaps on that, what we should do in the very near future. Public housing policies have to be seen as a crucial element of every policy of a state. This is not very surprising that the tenant representative is telling you that, but there is a reason why I say it. We know that all over Europe there is a lack of investment in affordable rental housing of 57 billion euro per year. I repeat, 57 billion euro per year. This has been checked by the European Commission, so I think we can say these figures will be right, and perhaps they are even more on the lower part. So I think actually the gap of investment might be even higher. So what do we learn from that? Public housing policy has been neglected in the last decennia, and we see what is happening now. We have an incredible lack of affordable housing all over Europe. We have a lack of affordable housing as well for the very vulnerable groups, the very low income groups, as well as for the classical middle incomes. This is important. So the housing scarcity has now reached the middle classes, and at the moment we have no possibility to make a big change if not a big change in finance policy will come, and that finances are now concentrated on the investment in public and affordable housing. I strongly believe in change which is coming from the bottom, from the grassroots, from the civil society. So in housing policy, I think the change will always come from the tenants, from the residents of quarters which have been neglected over the years, where there is not affordable housing anymore, where entire families cannot access affordable housing. And I do think, especially in Portugal, this is the case in all major cities. And I do think it has become worse in Portugal over the years. You have been hit by the austerity very much, which was coming from the European legislators, but you never found a way out into, let's say, an investment in affordable housing to fight the austerity. Actually, what I have to constate in Portugal is what we call an urban austerity. So we see there is investment in affordable housing, and the social housing provider of the city of Lisbon, Gebalis, is doing that. But when you count it up, it is not enough. I think when you check Portugal as a whole, your percentage of social housing might be 2%. The average in Europe is 20%. So I think you have to build a lot. And then coming back to your first question, this will not be done by the private sector. The private sector is not interested so far to build affordable rental housing. This has to come from the public sector, and the public sector needs money. So the austerity in housing policy is still going on, and there must be a big change, I think, in Portuguese policy. You asked me also, let's say, for key actors. I had the pleasure in my work as expert for the EU Partnership for Affordable Housing, a big stakeholder group who also sketched the Affordable Housing Action Plan for Europe. I had the pleasure to meet Helena Rosetta. And I do think that the basic fundamental housing law, which I think has been launched with her big expertise and political power behind it, that this basic and fundamental housing law in Portugal has to be set in force immediately. I do think we have had it through the parliament in 2019, but I do not think that there is so far a lot of effort done to put this into force. So this is something which the Portuguese and the Lisbon government should do immediately. You have made your homework, thanks to Helena Roseta, thanks to the movement of the tenants and the inhabitants of Lisbon, who suffer a lot currently. So now you have to deliver, policy has to deliver. Several examples all over Europe, which we collected in the so-called Responsible Housing Initiative. This initiative is, I think, unique. We do have negotiated over 18 long months with the landlords a code of conduct for responsible housing all over Europe. In the center of this responsible housing initiative, there is one thing: inhabitants first. Inhabitants first, negotiations with tenants and residents at level playing field about the future of their quarter. This means as well in renovation and modernization, as well in new construction. Do never underestimate what the people know themselves. Never make the mistake to not take the people serious. They know what is going on in their quarters. They know what they and their families need. So I think this is very important. I think this would make also a big change in Portugal, because I had the pleasure to visit several quarters in Lisbon, not only the beautiful center of the town, but also in the outsides. And I do think there are interesting projects going on now, but what I have seen so far lacks a lot of responsibility also from the residents and tenants. And this is very important to have this, because they will make the quarter a good quarter, a living quarter, a quarter where they do not only sleep, but where they will work, where there are schools, where there is further education. I think this is very, very important. So I hope to bring the Responsible Housing Initiative to Portugal. And I hope that Gebalis, who are doing an incredible work, when I read about their history, when they started 25 years ago, the people were still living in tent cities. In tent cities, in one of the most beautiful cities we have in Europe, in Lisbon. And I do think they did a great job, but I think they will continue also more and more to concentrate on the needs of the residents, because it's all about empowerment of the residents. It is not about just giving a roof above the head. That's not enough. It's really to make it a quarter where everybody wants to live.